Thank you, Alan, and it's a pleasure to be speaking again on these projects, and hopefully they'll both be fully published this year. Actually, this one has been submitted now, so hopefully it will appear shortly. But again, as any project in Baja goes, lots of different people work on this, and here are the principles involved, and I do want to acknowledge all of the organizations behind these people as well. It's Rancho Santa Ana Botanic Garden, the Universidad Autónoma de Baja California, Ensenada, Baja California, Santa Barbara Botanic Garden, ACOM, San Diego Museum of Natural History, El Colegio de la Frontera Norte, Tijuana, and now the Botanical Research Institute of Texas and Terra Peninsular. So, and I know that when I've talked about this project previously, and I'm sorry that all of the plant names on most of these images are too far down for many people to see, and at the bottom they also have rarity list and endemism list as it applies to the plants. So, how did all of this work happen? We met a bunch of times, almost always in San Diego, and you can see in the upper left-hand image, we're all there with our laptop computers. We have maps projected on the wall, and we went into the herbarium to check things that we needed to find. And that's how we typically did most of the work of evaluating and discussing each particular taxon. There were lots. We had originally thought we were just going to be working from some existing lists that I had, Tom Oberbauer had, Hugo Reimann had, and others, and of specifically rare and endangered and endemic plants. And then we decided after or during our first meeting that just wasn't going to cut it, that we needed to look at every taxon that we knew of in northern Baja California, which is what we ended up doing and why it took a lot longer. So these were the various things that we were looking at and evaluating. Originally, we were working with basically the CNPS sorts of categories, list 1A, 1B, list 2, 3, 4, and then we went to the endemics, which originally we were just going to do one level of endemism, but then we ended up doing 5 because there were too many things that have been alluded to in other presentations during the conference. You have these things that are almost endemic, but they go just a little bit south or just a little bit north. And so we categorized all of those things separately, so you can really look at those as a group as well. And then we later added appendices, including all of the listings by various governmental and NGOs. So the actual rarity list, again, no one needs to concentrate on reading that, but that's more or less what they are. And that as the end result was 1,131 taxa have rarity status for California Floristic Province portion of Baja California. And then there's how they fall out on the various lists. There are 17 taxa that are thought to be either extinct in Baja, or extinct totally, or extirpated from CFP Baja. And that the 1B plants, which are very, we use sort of very similar criteria to CNPS, there are 260 of those. And again, that's over on the far right-hand column is the percentages as they relate to the rare and endangered taxa. So almost 25%-ish are of the full listed plants are 1Bs. Two, we ended up dividing into two different lists. I know now CNPS has a 2A that means it's extinct or extirpated in California. But our 2A we started with before CNPS did that 2A. And our 2A means that it's principally CFP species, and the 2B are the plants that are wider spread, so things that go way beyond the CFP. So many of those are wetland plants, but they're extremely rare in CFP Baja because there aren't a lot of lacustrine or riparian or water-based systems. But some of them are also just high elevation species that have jumped over from the Rocky Mountains into the Sierra San Pedro Martir and the Sierra Juarez. So anyway, it's a lot of the flora. And that currently, the list we were working with, there are 1,729 documented native taxa to the California Floristic Province portion of Baja. That's the other project that I'm not going to speak as much about today after all. That number is going up, by the way. And then those are just two of the 1B5s. They're endemic, fully endemic to CFP Baja, and they are among the most threatened. And there are two island endemics in this case, Euphorbia benedicta and Mammillaria neopalmeri. And then just again as an example of a list 4 and endemism list 7. List 4 is that there are enough of them out there, but that they don't cover that much geographic area, so it's the watch list, Agave sebastiana. Endemism list 7 is that it's mostly in the CFP, but it goes a little bit to the south and east. So, and then when you look at the actual taxa, or by genus, the number 1 genus of rare and endangered taxa in CFP Baja is Astragalus, with 22 out of 30 taxa are on that, are on the rare and endangered lists. There's a tie for number 2 with Cryptantha and Dahlia. And again, I have their positions on the endemism list as well. I'll be talking about all of the endemics shortly. But then also you can see there toward the bottom, the tie for number 9, Carex, which again, many of those are those list 2B type plants. They're wetland systems, they're more wider spread. Many of those are list 2Bs. And Acnospon, also lots of taxa there. And we did include the plant that was Lotus watsonii. Everyone knows all of the North American lotuses that were native are now Acnospon or Hosacias. But nothing was done with this CFP, pretty much CFP endemic plant, formerly Lotus watsonii. So we went back to an old name for it, Cermatium watsonii, because it isn't a lotus. But it really needs to be published as Acnospon watsonii so that it's really where it belongs. So we, in all cases, other than the main list, it's always included with Acnospon. And then this is just Tetracoccus dioicus, rarity list 1B. It is certainly not an endemic. You can also see a lot of other taxa that are listed in this image with the Fraxinus and the Neoridium, or I'm sorry, not Neoridium. It's the Telia, sorry, which is a list 1B and list 5. So again, here's how they've all been listed by governments and NGOs. Again, again, in Mexico, 40 of the CFP Baja plants have been listed. CITES covers 54 of them. The US government has listed 11. So those 11 are things that cross the border. And again, like Endangered, Mexicanum, and Acanthaminta ilicifolia. California is listed 14, and then CNPS is listed 199. And in the block at the bottom, which I'll read since many of you probably can't see that, currently the 5 most listed taxa and are just alphabetically. Acanthaminta ilicifolia is listed on 4 of those lists. It's not on CITES. CITES is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, and nobody is interested in buying and selling Acanthaminta. Chloropyron, Meridema, subspecies Meridema, also no CITES. Endangered Mexicanum is also no CITES. Nolina interrata is, the US government hasn't listed it, but everybody else has. And Orchidia californica, also no CITES. So 4 out of the 5, and that's Orchidia on the right. Also, there are a lot of things that are very rare. This is a typical 2B type plant, just Populus tremuloides. There's not lots of them in Baja, California. Endemics. This is how we divided up the endemics. List 5 is full endemics, fully endemic to the CFP as we define it. List 6, nearly endemic but extends north into California. List 7, nearly endemic to CFP Baja but goes south and or east. Then we did nearly endemic to CFP Baja but extends both north and south. There are a few of those. Bahiopsis laciniata is probably the most familiar. And then list 9 are things that occur in CFP Baja but extend beyond it but are otherwise endemic just to the full Baja Peninsula. And list 10 are plants that, if you include all of the Gulf Islands, are then endemic to the peninsula and the full Gulf Islands. And again, Arctostaphylus australis, a rarity list 1B and fully endemic. And actually, many people aren't as familiar with this species. I think it's one of the most beautiful species of Baja California, or in the whole genus of Arctostaphylus. And you can see in the inset in the lower left, it has very distinctive upright nascent inflorescences. This particular one had bright red ones, which is not typical. So this is the results of the endemics. There are a total of 309, of which 173 are fully endemic just to CFP Baja. And those are 2 of the spectacular ones, Schultzia palmeri and Dudleya anthonyi. And another from Guadalupe Island, the Pinus radiata venata, also very rare, but showing now that the goats are removed, just in short order, how fast Pinus radiata is making a recovery on that island. And then these are by genus. Again, the #1 endemic genus is Dudleya, with 20 out of 27 that occur in CFP Baja being fully endemic. Eriogonum and Astragalus are tied at #2 with 15 each. And there's 2 of the very spectacular Dudleyas that are fully endemic. Dudleya crassifolia from the Colonet area, Colonet Mesa, and Dudleya pauciflora from the Sierra San Pedro Martir. And then again, out on Guadalupe Island, Lupinus niveus in the foreground, but also Hesperos superis, Guadalupensis in the background. is in those same categories as well. And then just as a comparison, looking at CFP Baja and how it compares to what CNPS has, or CFP Baja compared to all of the CNPS Baja plants, and then versus the San Diego County CNPS lists and the Orange County lists. And you can see, I mean, the magnitude for CFP Baja is so much greater than a comparable flora of San Diego and of Orange County. Even if you combine those, it's a huge, huge amount. And San Diego County, of course, includes all of those desert taxa as well. So that's my summary of the work. And again, thank you especially to GG Foundation for providing all core funding for the project. And that's again one of my favorites, CFP Baja endemics, Senecio palmeri, out on Guadalupe Island. So thank you very much.